All right, and then Phantom Dust.
Yes, it's a remake from wherever I'm hearing from the old like Japanese. It's a Japanese made game uh, that came out 2004 on the Xbox, the first Xbox. Fucking confusing.
Not the
Always.
Xbox One, but the first Xbox.
Yeah,
Genius
so
marketing.
yeah. So yeah, I haven't checked much out of it.
But it's
Um,
supposed to be kind of, you said, Nate was mentioning before this, you said like a kind of like a card game, almost Magic the Gathering style gameplay that's on the fly.
Yeah.
what it is it's a third person action game. So you're building up skills just like an action RPG, but those skills are based on basically like a card game. So basically, the better deck that you can build, which is actually your skills, the better off you're going to fight. So it's like having a visual representation of playing like Magic the Gathering and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I've played a similar game to that. I think it was on Game Boy. I know they did one as lame as this sounds for Dragon Ball Z, where they did something like that. So I can
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
imagine how that is.
it's not like laying a card down and you watch the guy do it. I mean, you literally push like A or B to like do these certain moves, but to
But you
do
can
those
only do
moves, you have
whatever.
to have that skill or card.
Yeah, you have to have that card
And-
drawn in a
right,
sense in order to use that
right.
skill. Yeah, so I mean, the trailer looked interesting as far as, I mean, the guy's just sitting there and all of a sudden everything kind of turns post-apocalyptic and they're both trying to hit one another with their own abilities, and it even says kind of like shape your own reality. So I mean, we could see where it kind of goes from there, and the trailer definitely did the job, at least as far as piquing my interest in it. And Scalebound. This was only a CGI trailer, no gameplay. This is something they
Yeah.
just announced. Or
We
should we call it How to Maim Your Dragon?
uh, me like uh, we me and Hazard was thinking it was some kind of like simplified Monster Hunters style of game.
Well,
Was
that's
our
what I thought
thinking.
at first, because you see him like staring at the both of them, and then you find out the dragon's his.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
everybody's a bunch of dragon riders going to attack a Hydra.
yeah.
But I wouldn't mind another Monster Hunter style game. Those are actually pretty fun, and it can even be challenging.
Yeah.
Not so much if you got a dragon doing most of the legwork for you,
Yeah,
helping
well,
you out.
maybe you like to actually kill this stuff. You need like yeah. So yeah, it's kind of like How to Tame Your Dragon, but
I guess that's really all we can say for that one.
yeah,
'Cause they
yeah,
haven't really
we
given us much. You can
yeah,
just tell that you can use magic, and you kind of have the armor that spawns on the fly. Uh, Seems like gameplay is going to be similar to Monster Hunter, or at least something along the lines, but we'll see. The one game I really wanted a PlayStation 4 for, because I have other friends who are playing it, but I got pushed back. The Division.
yeah. That kind of lost me as a person who wants to really get it,
Well, yeah.
because
Oh, sorry,
from
go ahead.
yeah, because from what we can tell, it's now only going to be in New York.
Yeah,
And
which is, they mean they're already pulling back on some statements that they made, and I mean, a lot of people thought, including myself, the reason why I got pushed back is they're going to improve on things and do more with it. But now we're hearing they're just taking away stuff, because originally,
yeah,
from what they were saying, is based on the region you're playing or the area you're in, you're going to have kind of like a map or setup kind of tailored to you. Now we found out that's not really so much the case. That's somewhat disappointing.
yeah, and yeah, it looks good, but I mean, I think Ubisoft is kind of in a bad spot right now, because I mean, uh, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of running out of ideas, and they are not the best at making stories, is what I'm starting to get from Ubisoft, because that is usually their weaker side in the
Hmm.
games.
Yeah, we discussed that before, because I mean, the only thing they really have pretty solid on story is Far Cry, which I think that's what we're gonna talk about next. But I mean, at least as far as the trailer story pulled on some heartstrings. That was a nice little setup, because it revolves around. Before, a lot of people just thought it was like a blackout and just some crazy cyber terrorism that went down, but it's a little more than that. Apparently, there's also like a pandemic that's going around where people are dying, So in a post-apocalyptic setting where there's not zombies that are the real threats,
Yeah.
you have
The
people
thi-
that
the
are
thing
turning
that
on
I
one another.
the thing that I found convoluted is like they're placed on in hiding, these special agents to like come out. How the fuck did they know that they were gonna break out the pandemic that they needed to like come out of hiding? That's like
Yeah, that's
that's
why
just
their story is kind of. I think the trailer probably did a better job at telling the story than maybe the game might. But we'll see. I'm still excited for it. I got some friends that are gonna be playing it, and I want to try and play along with them. And hopefully, it's as good as it originally looked.
I
I'm
know for
gonna
me, I just don't even know what's really going on in the game, so I have no
yeah.
interest in it. Like it's just I don't know.
Gameplay wise, it's kind of like Mass Effect. I would say to some degree, at least, to where each character
it,
kind of has
to me
their.
it looks like Ghost Recon.
Or
Like
I guess it could even
without
be
all
like
the
Ghost Recon. I didn't play it later on in some of the newer versions of it, but it's an RPG third person shooter. So it's not just like, okay, I'm going to shoot him a few times and that's going to work. Different weapons have different stats as far as
but
damage as
see,
well as your stats too.
and this is why I'm leery about it. Like that's the kind of deal like they did with Watch Dogs. Like they showed it to be like, oh, it's this hacking game, and then oh, you got guns, but in reality, it was
Very
a
little hacking.
Yeah.
third-person shooter with a little bit of hacking in it. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really trust Ubisoft anymore, to be honest.
No.
I don't know what to expect from them.
I will really agree there. I think Ubisoft is kind of they're gonna have more and more problems. I think, especially I mean, when we weren't going to talk about so much the different press conferences, but Ubisoft was without a doubt the worst one. They're like barely anything interesting, and they didn't need to have a press conference, to be honest. And for me, I cringe when I see Aisha Taylor, but that's just me. She's very American humor.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! As an American, I'm just kidding.
No, but I mean, there's
I get
certain
what you mean.
style of humor.
It's yeah. Here I'm gonna throw you one this time, Nate. The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3, it was the hell. Anyways, I was definitely hyped for the game before E3 and showing the gameplay that they did, especially like the hunting part, which I mean that's what a Witcher does. They hunt monsters. That's their main. That is their job. So to see how they're implementing like his heightened senses and stuff like that, you can follow the blood trail and whatnot. The fact that it's open world, we already knew all this other stuff. It was good to see the game in action, and I'm just as hyped for it as I was before.
Yeah, having played the second one but not played the first one, which is usually not the way I do games, and it's usually considered blasphemy as well. Combat for 3 looks like it's tightened a bit. It still looks like it still has the same kind of gravity to it, to where if you're not paying attention, you can only take so many hits.
Yeah.
The way that you do your spell casting and use your mutagens and potions looks like it's a lot more fluid, as well as combat itself. Definitely a lot more visceral, as you were seeing during combat. You're cutting off arms, and even at one point does like a power strike and like just cuts the person in half.
Yeah.
You just see the side, just oh, there goes. Really did like the whole Griffin segment where you saw the whole tracking. Like you hit it with a crossbow bolt, it's bleeding, so you're tracking the blood as you're going along. And I really like how the open world just lends to the story and the gameplay. I think open world is something that's needed, and it definitely has, and it can do a lot with. And how even during you trying to find this Griffin, you end up running into a band of bandits.
Which like kind of gives a nod back to the original, well, not the original trailer, but like the big cinematic trailer they put out last year, the Hunting Monsters trailer, where at least in the trailer he was just basically cashing in, but he sees that woman getting the shit beat out of her because she's like I mean, she was a cannibal, like all these other things, and he's like debating on which is the greater evil. So he decides to help her, and that's pretty much like what's happening here. He's,
What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
you know, he's
Killing
hunting monsters, but then he sees these bandits, and he's like, you know, his humanity takes over, and he's like, I gotta help the weaker person here. So yeah, I like that too.
And then where you had your little bit of Anthony fanboy moment, Mass Effect.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I told Anthony, you know, like I was sitting there giving him shit about, you know, the whole Bioware thing, but honestly, like I still don't remember what the hell I was doing. But anyways, like I had the press conference playing, and I was like, I think I was getting ready to cook or some shit. I don't even know. The point is, like, I looked over at the screen and I seen like the auditorium like going black and stuff. Like, I didn't think nothing of it. And then I heard the music, and I was just like, and like seeing. That's the one thing that pissed me off, and this is like EA's press conference in general. Aside from like the sports games, it was all conceptual prototype.
Yeah. It's like
But
Battlefront.
what they're aiming for, and hopefully they're able to achieve what they're aiming for, unlike Ubisoft, like we was just talking about. Like especially the screen where they was showing the human standing in front of what we had known in the previous games as the galaxy map. This looked more like a universe map, and they was actually saying that they are taking us to other regions of space.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to get outside of the Milky Way galaxy and, you know, see what they could build off from there.
I'm wondering what like it's going to be, if it's going to like the game is gonna feature around the same time as Shepard lives.
Oh no,
Or-
the one thing they did establish from the very beginning is it is going to be in the future. Like
Okay.
it's going to be completely separate from Shepard. I think at one point they even said maybe like a good 100 years or so, but they wanted to put a nice distance between the two different. We'll
Okay.
call them franchises, even though they're all still Mass Effect.
Okay. So I didn't like fully like did it say like someone's going to be canon with the story, or is it going to be depending
Well,
on how you ended it?
At the end
So-
of 3, after the whole debacle of people arguing over the ending, a few months in, they said to hold on to your Mass Effect 3 saves, and they kind of subtly were saying, because it might play into what your specific story will
Okay.
be for 4, as far as the lore is concerned. What I'm hoping to see is the one thing I like about Bioware too, I'm sorry, I already see like Nate rolling his eyes and going goofy about it, but is they play well off of their own games. They see what works in certain games, they try to implement it in other games, and they make it work for that specific game. I'm hoping what they'll do is just like in Dragon Age, they'll allow you to choose different races for Mass Effect. I know I'm
Yeah,
not the only
I
one
mean,
who would like to see
I
that as
mean-
well.
I mean, that I think is something that's like almost needed for once to have something like we already played enough of being like an N7 or whatever it is. Maybe you can be like, I don't know exactly why you will travel the whole world, but or universe. I mean, but I mean, yeah.
Like what me and Anthony was talking about the other day, when that, I think, well, it was yesterday.
The other day. Yes.
Like, yeah, it was a while ago. I just lost my train of thought. What the fuck? What the hell?
Where you were
going
going to talk about how there's a different team working on it.
No, there's that as well, but I don't know. I lost. Well, we can just go ahead and go to that because I just lost what the hell I was going
All
to
right,
say.
I'll let you bring that up.
Okay, but anyways, a lot of people didn't like actually. A lot of people, meaning news media, well, game media or whatever, but they specifically said that the guys that worked on Mass Effect, like the original team that worked on the trilogy, are actually doing a new IP and creating like a whole new universe and stuff, like just a completely new franchise, and a different team comprised of some of the same members. Like Casey Hudson's still going to be heading the project, I believe, is the ones working on Mass Effect. So that's, again, I'm geeking out because, yeah, it's Mass Effect, but it is a new team. I don't I don't know what to expect. I'm still kind of leery about it, but I am excited to see what the original Mass Effect guys are going to do with a completely new IP.
Yeah, that will be awesome.
And here we go. We can get into. Well, we're not gonna do all the sports actually. Maybe we can jump into sports. All right,
Dude,
we'll go with
PGA Tour.
We'll get to that. I know you want to talk about it. I'm going to let you talk about it.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about it because I would just love to hear like your reaction to some of this. We're gonna go with Sims and then we're gonna jump into the sports games. So Sims 4, not a whole lot to talk about. I wish my wife was here to talk about it. She'd probably just give us all the details even I don't know about. They definitely are adding a lot more to the game in terms of personality, how the AI reacts to not only its environment but also one another. The creation of your characters I've seen is definitely a hell of a lot more in depth than it's probably ever been. Me being a huge creation nut, it's definitely very impressive.
And they said it's going to be weirder than every other Sims game. I almost want to play it because how the fuck do
you gonna make it more weird? They just showed that off. They didn't show off too much. It was more of just like a trailer of these are things. They didn't really explain too much versus what they've done in the past. I'm going to step away for a second because I need to get charger for my phone because that's what's keeping us with the topics. I'm going to leave you with NHL 15 because I know at least Rasmus can talk about it a bit. I'll be back.
Fucking NHL 15. It's gonna revolutionary. No, I don't know. Fucking know what it's gonna do, really. But I mean, this is the last NHL 50 or NHL game I'm gonna buy since I have a new console. I want to try and play it with like the PlayStation 4 controller because it's a new controller and it's easier to pass with than the Xbox controller. But yeah, they need to like do something different with it because it's just it's the last one I buy, and if it doesn't capture me, then I'm gonna stop.
You're just done with it. Yeah, that seems to be the feeling with sports games in general. For a lot of people, it's like do something more. But then it's almost the question of like Call of Duty. What more can you really do with a sports game?
I mean, you can complain all you like about the FIFA games, like they're being the same, but they still get it. They still have like how they do the career modes and like stuff like that. They get how they do great career mode, and NHL doesn't because it's just the menus is extremely important. Like the simulation part and all of that is like what really makes most of those games as well when you play the like seasons and that sort of stuff. So yeah.
I remember, I think the first and the last NHL game I played was Wayne Gretzky's hockey. And my favorite thing to do, which I thought was kind of the whole point of the game, because that was my extent of knowledge of hockey, was to get into the fights, the fist fights between one another. I used to be damn good at those fist fights, and I thought the point of it was to win. But then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, no, this is still a sports game. And you just get put in the penalty box.
Get knocked out, playing hockey.
That's the get knocked out origins. Get knocked out. But that's what my brother and I would always do. We'd always like run up to each other, and we knew like which button would do like an illegal maneuver, and we just both hit each other, and then go into the fist fights, and I'd kick his ass.
Yeah.
And speaking of kicking ass, EA Sports UFC.
Bruce Lee, is in the house.
I'm calling it right now. If you can beat Bruce Lee, even on the easiest difficulty, I'm calling fucking shenanigans on this game.
I think grapplers and stuff like that, the people like that doesn't do like karates and that sort of stuff, they are the people that he like should be able to take down Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee I don't think ever like had to deal with that kind of fighters and like wrestlers and like that sort of stuff. So I mean that's my train of thought.
Interesting fact, he's actually has fought several grapplers as well as different just artists and styles.
Okay. I never remember that.
But no, he has several times in the past. had to fight against those kind of people. And he's come out on top. And I mean, yeah, okay, he could probably lose to somebody, and I'm definitely being more of, yet again, in a sense, a fanboy to something else.
Like karate fight and that sort of stuff. Like,
But no, he's fought against grapplers and won. But UFC, I guess, is a new breed of fighters. They do definitely a lot of things differently, and even just a lot of UFC is influenced from Jeet Kune Do. So I can definitely see why they put him in there. But I didn't make the whole joke of they're just doing this as a cash in. They're like, oh man, nobody's buying UFC games. What are we gonna do? Throw in Bruce Lee.
I would actually enjoy having Jet Li more than Bruce Lee, to be honest.
Blasphemy. It's fighting words.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I like Bruce Lee as well.
But I mean, that actually brings up a good point, because most people, like, this generation probably, I mean, have heard of Bruce Lee, but they don't, like, legitimately respect who Bruce Lee is.
Yeah.
Somebody like Jet Li, like, or even Tony Jaa, like, newer, like, more modern martial artists would, like, make more of an impact for this generation.
Yeah. I mean, people still know Bruce Lee because, if anything, Chuck Norris jokes. Yeah. That's, I guess, where a lot of younger generations would get relevance to Bruce Lee. But, no, the gameplay still, I mean, I haven't played the previous UFC games. It looks like it was a lot more involved in terms of the whole grappling system, even how to reverse it. I absolutely love the fact that Bruce Lee did the jump kick off the cage to the dude's face. Or even Oh, no, go ahead.
The thing that I think is cool with all of EA games, right? They're focusing so much more on, like, the surroundings and all of that, and, like, it's gonna feel like that the simulation part, that you're actually gonna feel like, oh, this is almost like reality or something like that.
Oh yeah, the aesthetics are important. You definitely want to get that right, so that way you kind of feel like you're there and you're a part of it. It's meant to be that kind of simulation. And I don't know. I guess the way I feel about it, they should make him just as difficult, if not more, than Mike Tyson and Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. That's the way it should be. We have Nate leaving for a moment, but I can go ahead and go to the next one because he's probably not going to care anyways. That's Madden 15.
Yeah, woo. The fun fact for everyone: did NBA rip from EA completely? Like, no one actually bought.
Nobody cares about NBA from EA.
I mean, yeah, but like the graphics was like from 2007 in that game. I'm like, what are they thinking? Like,
they were thinking,
NBA,
we're just gonna throw this out here and hope it makes money.
Yeah, especially when 2K is like owning.
Oh man, 2K is making a comeback when it comes to a lot of stuff. Excuse me. They completely demolished EA when EA tried to come out with their own wrestling game. That's why you only have WWE 2K14.
Yeah, well, no, it's actually like they took over THQ one.
Yeah, but I mean, even before then, EA just never had the rights to any kind of wrestling game because there's still somebody doing better. Because THQ had it, now it makes sense that 2K14 would now own it. The one thing I do like, having recently played Madden, like, Madden used to be a game my brother and I used to play in the past, but he's always been more into playing Madden. My extent as far as football is concerned is I played it for a few years and enjoy playing it more and watching it, but even then, that kind of just got boring for me after a while, too. But I do like that there's more precision controls from what they've shown off, at least in the trailer to Madden 15. It's where you have different styles of tackling, which is not too much different than the previous iterations, but at least lends something to it. Even how on the offensive line you can kind of or defensive line you can kind of control the field.
Yeah, that's how EA works, really. They will change one stuff in the game until the next release. Like,
now you can't change too much because then how else are you going to cash in on it?
Yeah. Yeah, Madden I haven't really got into that much in years.
Now here's your moment. PGA Tour 2015.
Dude, I was... It's so funny when the PGA Tour came up. I was like, man, I was saying that I used to remember when I used to play. I can't remember which PGA golf game it was, but it was like 2005 or something like that, and it was really, really good. You can like have your own golfer and you just like level him up and stuff like that. It was really great. And then as the thing got on, and I was commentating like, oh man, a crocodile can attack you while playing, and like that. And suddenly, when the battleship appeared, I was like, fuck, I was only young. We just burst into laughter because, I mean, and you can actually shoot it on the battleship if you, like, they have actually said that. So if you want to take, like, shoot the golf ball from a battleship, you can do that in the new one because it's in the Frostbite 3 engine.
Yeah. I don't know why you would need the Frostbite 3 engine for a golfing game, but
was
it's
like,
there.
Never know, dude. Somebody
It's
might be
gonna
on
be
fucking
falling
steroids
trees.
and just plow that bitch.
It's gonna be falling trees and
Just so
like,
much chop.
I mean, the fantasy golf courses is going to be. I'm hoping to go balls to nuts insane with explosions and like that is what I want.
Mark,
And
I'm going to decide on a name, whatever. Just go with Rasmus. You need to at least rent this game, and I want to see. I will tell everybody to watch your playthrough if you do nothing but fantasy courses.
yeah,
Something on it.
I'm getting that one.
I will
I'm so hyped
tell
for that
everybody
one.
to subscribe just for those videos alone, just to see your reactions and just to see how those things turn out.
Yeah,
Especially if you can get chased by a gator, that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, we're like there was the track in Florida. It was like you see like a gator in it, and we're like, dude, there's a gator in it. Like hope it attacks you while you're like. Because
If you
that would be like you have to run away and hit it with a golf club and be like.
It becomes a fighting game for a moment. You must fight to survive. If you can make fantasy courses, I'd probably make a Florida course where it is nothing but fucking gators just popping out of the woodwork.
That or fucking crackheads on bath salts fucking trying to eat your face. You're swinging a fucking golf club and like, get the fuck away! I'm trying to putt.
I don't know.
FIFA.
FIFA, since I'm a guy who like play it a lot, I like the whole feel the game. I'm like, what the fuck are they on? Really? Like, feel the game. I actually comment like, this is the erotic style FIFA they're gonna do. No,
This
but,
is erotic football.
yeah, from what I could tell, it was like nothing really new, and what like something is always OP in every game. For instance, crosses is really OP in FIFA 14. Like you're almost gonna score every time you do a cross, so that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But hopefully in this new one they have finally fixed that goalkeepers aren't shit.
No,
That is all what I'm
that
hoping for.
remains.
I don't care if it's hard to score goals. That's gonna make it more fun because I mean the goalkeepers have been hilariously bad for a long time, and
Just EA believes that it should never be hard to score, no matter how hard the opposition tries to stop you from scoring.
I am like adamant and just honest that I do not get into sports games, but I
Yeah.
honestly just want to watch DSP play FIFA because he played FIFA 12, dude, 20 fucking minutes in the fucking menus before he even got into a match.
I'm like, how the fuck do you play the game?
Hey, you know what? There's nothing you could do, okay? There's nothing you can do. Mirror's Edge, the sequel. It's not what it's called, but you know what I mean.
Yes, now it's red and black, and sometimes also green appears or whatever the other color was.
It looked a lot like the first one. The only thing that was different is kind of what they showed, which was the concept art from it. As far as just the way they've designed her, they said there's going to be more emphasis on story, combat, as well as the movement is supposed to be more free-flowing, also to go along with the whole parkour feel of it, but it really just looks a lot like the first game. I mean, hopefully the story turned out better than the first one. Not spoiling it for anybody, but apparently it was great, and then kind of just fizzled out near the end. So hopefully we get something more out of that.
I got Mirror's Edge. I still have yet to play it, so as far as Mirror's Edge 2 or whatever they're going for, I'll I purposely didn't really pay attention to it because I want to get through the first one before I even like see where they're going with the second one.
It's more the same, so you wouldn't really feel too bad or like, oh man, they screwed this up, or oh hey, this is better, because it really looks like it's just carbon
Graphically, it
copy.
looked exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gameplay
I mean,
wise, it wasn't much different other than
I
like
mean,
I said,
I
just the
don't
slight
think you-
improvements.
I don't think you can do pretty much more with that kind of like art style. I don't know. I'm like, it's a little bit better graphics, but I mean, apart from that, you really can't do much
Yeah,
more.
because for some reason in utopian environments, everything's just like a flat wash white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Far Cry 4, they showed two different things. They showed first 5 minutes of gameplay as well as an actual gameplay trailer.
And
Right off the bat, I thought this was another funny controversy. A lot of people were pissed off. It's like, oh, that's clearly a white guy who's probably going to be the main character that's suppressing this Spanish dude, which the guy's not even Spanish. And it's just, oh, it's always got to be the white man. It's always got to be the white man. It's like, oh my god. At least to me, I thought it was very clear that he was not white. But
I didn't think he was a white guy.
yeah.
I asked a few people, and sadly enough, a lot of people are like, oh, that's a European guy. I'm like, oh god, okay, so maybe I'm not, maybe I was a little harder on people than I thought. But one thing that was for certain is it
Americans.
wasn't the main character. The guy was obviously very fucking evil.
Yeah, I mean,
And
honestly,
he's gonna be the mentor. That is part time. Like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take you under my wing. I'm
Yeah, he's like,
that's,
well, that's
like-
what was great, because you see, like, the first 5 minutes of gameplay, you're in this bus, it's kind of like another oh shit moment that all games kind of have to have, and things go south, there's a lot of shooting, he eventually shows up, and he kind of looks at his subordinates, and he's like, I told you to stop, not shoot. Stop, not shoot. I'm like,
It's
very
fun-
particular
it's funny-
with my words.
it's funny,
It
he
shakes the shit out of him,
Yeah, and he
kind of
punished the
Joker
one
style.
dude.
And he's just like, you can tell he's psychotic, because then he stabbed this guy, and he's just pissed off because he's got
Yeah.
blood on his shoes.
Yeah.
But then you figure that the main character, who's also, as they said, not white, and still not white,
Yeah.
is the only thing they've mentioned is he's coming back to his home country as a promise to his mother, and then he gets kind of caught in the middle of this conflict. Now,
Yeah.
the villain somehow knows your character. It's still not revealed as to whether
Yeah.
you're a sibling, or maybe you're friends who grew up, or just whatever it is. But he notices you, takes like a selfie with you, and then that's when your favorite moment came up, Rasmus, where he's like, you know, we're gonna fuck shit up.
Yes, that's. I like that. I can get behind. I actually didn't get Far Cry 3, but I sort of regret it. But I'm probably gonna get Far Cry 4. I mean, like crazy elephants. I mean,
Yes,
what
the
could go
rise
wrong?
of the elephants.
see, I really enjoyed Far Cry 3, and that's so far Far Cry is one of those series that, as far as Ubisoft's concerned, I feel like going into Far Cry 4, I can have confidence in Ubisoft behind this one.
Yeah.
It's one of their few games that, you know, they're obviously, like, it's set in the Himalayas, so, like, the whole, like, grapple and stuff, like, whatever other things that you can do, like, they're definitely taking into consideration your environments and what's going on with that.
Yeah.
The only, like, thing that I'm just kind of like, ugh, is with the fact that the main bad guy, antagonist or whatever, is, you know, coming off as this crazy guy, is they're trying, are they trying to basically pull off another Voss?
Yeah,
And,
I mean,
that to me is just kind of like, you had Voss, and Far Cry
Yes.
3, you fucked it up because he ended up just being really just a lackey.
Hmm.
yeah,
I mean,
It definitely seems like
obviously
they're
there's
trying to
more than
just.
one crazy person in the world, but at the same time, it's like you're in the same game. And again, just like the whole thing, like with the bus, it kind of felt like, you know, walking through Jason Brody's fucking footsteps again. Just it felt way too familiar in certain
Yeah.
aspects of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it definitely. I believe his name is Pagon Min, and he definitely has the same feeling Boss has. That can't be denied. Except for it
Yeah.
just feels like the level of psycho is kind of ramped up because Voss was like kind of crazy, but the only thing that's scarier than a crazy person is just like when the crazy person is very much sane at the same time. Like he's very articulate, he's very aware of what's going on, at the same time he's also batshit fucking nuts. Like he has those moments where he kind of just snaps and does something off the wall like that, and kind of just goes back to being normal. That shit is scary. And even just from there, the one thing they have established, I don't know if that's going to still remain true to the end of the game, is that he's not going to be like revealed as the lackey later. He is like the organization head. So it kind of feels like they're probably doing Voss right, is the way I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna do a better job with it, but because I think they now like get it more. Like this is one of the stores like Far Cry. I think they get actually what they were supposed to do with the series compared to all of the other ones where they're like not really.
Yeah, one was just people know of it, but it wasn't as memorable as a lot of people might want to think or even say. 2 was just pretty awful. Like that's the general census of 2, and it's pretty forgettable. But then 3 just came out of nowhere, changing things up quite a bit, and a lot of people were just like, "Oh, this is amazing." And then
The way I always took the like at least 1 and 2 was just kind of like Crisis. Like it was basically just a tech demo for like, PC graphics.
yeah,
As far as like story and stuff, like people didn't really care about that. It was just the fact that the games looked really good.
and 3 it looks like they were kind of testing the waters and were very successful.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like what's leading up to what 4 is. Which brings us to like the multiplayer gameplay. Like you mentioned, they have a few new things that take into consideration the environment, such as the whole grappling hook. The wingsuit has been done before, but they're changing
It's
that
funny,
a little bit.
with the wingsuit.
Yeah, Azure was pissed about that. I know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it wasn't a wingsuit, and apparently you didn't. In the beginning, when you used the wingsuit, you weren't really going as fast as you should be with the wingsuit. And
No, you need a lot of velocity and a lot of momentum going to be able to catch the wind under you like that for a wingsuit. I've never used one, but I at least know that much. But what's very interesting, and it's kind of just like a your move type of situation, is at least for what they said as far as PlayStation 4. I'm not sure if it rings true for Xbox One. I would like to think so, considering it's a multi-platform game. Is multiplayer, people can jump in without even owning the game.
So that's one thing. When they said that and the crowd erupted and they started clapping, the look on the guy's face was like, "Oh shit, they took it the wrong way."
There's
I'm
probably more of a
thinking-
story to it.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more like Watch Dogs, where like you have an app and you can fuck with like the environments or something during a multiplayer match or something like that. It may be straight up multiplayer. Like you can play Far Cry 4 multiplayer for free. It may be like a free to play portion of the game. But just the way it like unfolded, and he like when he said it, and people were like, "Yeah," and he was just kind of like, oops. But he just like kept going because he didn't like want to drop the bomb or whatever. But I don't know.
I do know
it
other
seems weird
players
for Ubisoft to be like, "Oh yeah,
that generous. Yeah.
yeah."
The multiplayer though is unlike Far Cry 3, where it was like its own separate stories. It wasn't like to where you could just hop in mid game. They are doing that with Far Cry 4. You could have somebody hop in mid game because they showed that with the actual helicopter pilot. That was actually a player too, who jumped into the game playing as another character from the actual story and kind of went that way. Now, whether that was the free part that was mentioned is doubtful, but may even just be. We won't know until further details are given.
Yeah.
But that was still just a huge statement to say, hey, you can play with your friends for free without even having the game. It's like, what? But we'll see if that is so much the case. Does anybody want to talk about the crew? I guess we have to because we already spoke about Forza 2.
Yeah, well, the only thing, like
It's Forza, but not Forza, and you can go everywhere.
No, but like, are they actually gonna be like when you have like a mission to go to LA from like Florida, is it gonna be like a 2-hour mission? Is that, and like if
You go
fail
on a
it,
road trip with your buddies. That is the
and
mission.
if you fail it, are you're gonna be like, no, you failed it, you have to do it all over again or something
It's like
that?
GTA style. You got to book a plane flight all the way back to Florida to start
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah.
And then it's like, do you have to stop for gas? Do you have to go to a hotel?
Yeah, do you encounter LA traffic? Because that would be fucking hilarious.
No game will ever have realistic LA traffic. It just will not happen because the game would just suck,
Why
and you would
not?
feel the
That
need to
would
get
be
out
so
of your
fun.
vehicle if you can. So what is kind of cool is, just like its name implies, it's the crew. You can go ahead and form up different squads of racers and go against other people across.
Only in America
US.
is
Yes, only in America.
gonna take place.
But you should know by now, Erasmus. It's all about
Yes.
America.
Yes,
America. If it's not America, it's New York. It's one or the other. Take your pick.
Yes, or Chicago or
LA.
whatever. Yes.
Or California, just in general. Shape up. Let's hear what you got to say.
Shape up, yes, where you can actually cheat and win in push-ups, or you can dance like idiot on stage, and yeah, I mean, I
That's
don't
it.
know. It looks, yeah, I mean, it looks good, but the fact that it couldn't tell that they did like proper push-ups and like how. Then you're just gonna start cheating if you like do stuff, and suddenly like then you just do it wrong when you do push-ups and that sort of stuff.
Well, that's almost
So-
like Wii Bowling. I remember in Wii Bowling,
Have
you
a
just
bag
sit
of
there.
Doritos while you're doing it.
Like in Wii Bowling, they're all like, "Oh, it's all in the wrist and how you throw it." But funny thing is people learn the Statue of Liberty play with Wii Bowling, where you just like hold it up like this, and then if you let go, it's like a perfect drop strike every time.
Yeah.
Versus actually trying to swing it. Everybody always finds little exploits like that with motion controls. That's why it's
Yeah.
still wonky in them trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's a good concept. It's a good idea, but I don't know if I don't think it's going to work. I mean, just from that demo alone, that the guy won while not doing proper push-ups, it's just
It's bullshit. It is
Yeah.
what it is. How about Valiant Hearts?
looked depressing as fuck, and from someone I read someone tested it, and it's gonna be like seem like a good game, and like it's probably gonna be like one of those. I mean, it's
One
like
of those
they're-
underrated
Ubisoft
games.
going indie style like they did with what the hell is that game called?
Child of Light.
Yeah. So it's gonna be like simple but good game,
Yeah.
and that's what my opinion on it.
Anything? Nate?
Indeed.
Indubitably, my
I
good
didn't
man.
see nothing of it, so I really can't contribute to
You
that
need,
one.
you need a pipe and a monocle. Indubitably. Rainbow Six Siege. I still don't think that's gameplay. Or at least not all of it is. I still
No,
think a lot
I
of
mean
that's just-
it's like those were you probably were just up against like AI kind of, it felt like, or something like that. But I mean, yeah, I mean you could tell that the people like that actually were playing it were actually people, the main like squad that went in there, because like the aim when there were only one guy left was horrendous. Nobody was
I don't
aiming
know.
like.
I still think they did that on purpose, just for the sake of how it ended. I still feel like the whole thing's just pre-rendered. Because like when you
Like,
first see the
they
hostage,
like decided together like, when we come up to the end, if only one left, come on, you have to miss every fucking shot as possible.
yeah,
Be like the stormtrooper that you always was meant to be.
to be. But like certain scenes, like the way they were unfolding the barricades, which look awesome, by the way. The way they have it's, I've never even seen anything like that before. But it's just apparently just like kind of scrunched together. You kind of just unfold it, and it can just slam against a door or window. And the only way you're really getting through it is bashing or shooting through it. But like the way the AI reacted to the little bot that kind of trolled in there, she's like, "Oh my God, save me!"
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just CGI pre-rendered kind of setup. It didn't look like it was actual gameplay how a lot of that played out.
I just want to say, our based god Phil compared it to Team Fortress 2.
Are you serious? Has he ever played Team Fortress 2? Yes, because there's clearly a pyro and there was a sniper. So I actually
What?
I'm gonna put a foot in my mouth on that one. But there's not a demo man. There's not. There's no classes like that. It's like if anything, I was thinking it was more
What?
like SWAT.
Military game, or not even a military game. It's just what?
This game's like Team Fortress 2. No, from somebody who adamantly loves Team Fortress 2 and plays it, it is nothing like Team Fortress 2.
I gotta say, like, no, dude, no.
I just had to, and also he pronounced it siege. Like, I mean,
Siege.
at this point he must be
Siege.
like, he's full on troll mode, DSP. Like, yeah.
And somehow he still makes it into just every discussion. I don't know
Yes,
how.
and
but-
also he did when the Battlefront was on. He made French accents for the Swedish people. I thought that was just perfect.
I'm sure
because
you,
we all
I'm sure you
French.
felt good about that.
Yes.
But I mean, I liked what I saw. Don't get me wrong. If that's the way the game will play out, that'll
It
be
looks like
pretty fucking
like
cool.
like the payday style, but you just have it be like a little bit different than being like hostage situations and stuff like that instead. And
Yeah, it's
you have
more
to plan
the go
stuff
competitive
and-
thing. But being able to shoot through walls, like the amount of damage that you saw and how that turned out.
No,
Yeah, I was gonna say that
it's
was,
like
like,
Counter Strike.
ridiculous.
I was like,
Yeah, Counter Strike would probably be more accurate. Like a combination of Rainbow Six and Counter Strike, if we were to take the two. But yeah,
Yeah.
the amount of damage the walls were taking, like how the one.
just like American Housing.
Yeah, he just like shoots right through the wall. Somehow
Yeah, it was
knows
made
he's
of
there. By the way,
fucking cardboard or something. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I
Yeah.
understand, like, it was a shotgun, obviously, but still, like, it's not
even the
gonna
machine gun
fucking-
shots were kind of just like blowing
like,
huge
the hole
holes.
was that fucking big. Like, what the fuck?
I do like what I saw. I really hope that the gameplay will be like that, especially when they did the breach setup. I really like how the team kind of worked together, except for when they had the stormtrooper aim. But like how he's like, oh, we're never gonna be able to get in there because they're using the one girl as a human shield, and they got the wall set up. Oh, I'll just go upstairs. I'll breach this wall. Now I have a door.
I found it funny that he like the main person, like when he was protecting her, he accidentally shot her himself.
She got one. Oh, I'll bring her back. And the one guy who had the hostage was a dumbass. His teammates, even in whether it's gameplay or CGI, again, is still
Well, they were
debatable.
dumbasses.
They're like,
Of
go.
course it's real people.
No, what's sad is they were even telling him though multiple times throughout that little whatever it was. They're like, just go, man. We're out of time. Just go. He's like, no, man. I'm gonna help you out. You have the hostage. Get the hell out of there. Win this for us. It doesn't matter. This isn't real. And he still wasn't listening. And then it ends up being he probably got shot by that other guy because that other guy's just too good because he took out practically the entire other team. They even just called him by name. He's like, it's Havoc. But hopefully it's as good as it looks. But The Order 1886. That's another game I'm definitely excited for and want to get for the PlayStation 4.
Yawn. It looks like
Yeah.
cutscene the game.
Exactly.
Fuck that.
It's a David Cage fucking sci-fi thriller, like with the zombies and
Especially
shit.
the comment the dude made, like, we don't gonna use 60 FPS because like it ruins the filmic look of it. Like,
So I
fuck
guess
you.
kind of they're trying to be the new Kojimas, is what you guys are saying?
It felt
But I mean, the action, like it, like there's action
Like
segment where you
2
can actually
seconds
shoot.
of action.
Exactly. Like at least in Metal Gear Solid, like you have like pretty elongated spurts of like action. Then you'll have a long ass cutscene. In this, it's like cutscene, quick time, cutscene.
Well, I
like,
think that was probably near the very beginning.
pacing was like so bad.
No,
Yeah.
it was, but to be fair, and I could be mistaken, and if I am, so be it. It looked like it was more towards the beginning of the game, and they were kind of just trying to establish things because he'd never even experienced it before. Like he was surprised by the creature he saw,
Yeah,
but in the
let
trailers,
us be the person that experience it with him, not be like the fucking cutscene experience it.
No, I understand. That's the thing too is they look like there's some kind of like lycanthrope, but it could be some kind of weird vampire as well. You still don't even know what you're going to be fighting against. But at least for me, it kind of feels like almost Gears of War, at least the good parts of Gears of War, because I know some people are going to get upset by me making that comparison. But in terms of gameplay, mixed with the feel almost of like Nightmare Creatures. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. I'm hoping that's the case, but we'll see. So far, we only just saw cutscene, QuickTime event, cutscene, shoot for 2 seconds. No, I can definitely see why you guys aren't too thrilled with it just yet. I'm waiting to see more, but it is still something that I'm still kind of excited about. Little Big Planet 3.
I think
it's Little Big Planet.
I think they did a correct thing with Little Big Planet by adding 3 other characters that you
now
like.
have Derpsack.
It's so simple, but it's so effective at the same time. So yeah,
you have Derpsack, you have Frogsack, and then you have Birdsack.
Yeah,
and Nutsack.
And the bird carried the whole stream. The bird like did everything.
the bird is the MVP at all times.
Yeah, but they were so bad at it, and like the bird just picked up everyone, and like
let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
Battlefront. While we're at it,
we didn't get to know much, to be honest.
No, they were really just talking more on the theory behind what they're trying to do. I do like the fact that they went to the locations,
hyping it up. If it's one thing that we shouldn't really do is using our accents to hype stuff up. Like, yeah.
I say that when they got on the speeder bike, like for a moment, it almost looked like he was actually like watching the movie, and it was in-game graphics. Like that to me is like pretty impressive.
And that's really what they're going for. Is I really think they're trying to capture that nostalgic feel, but also make it a playable and as well as enjoyable game. And they haven't really shown us much. Mostly, again, just pre-rendered stuff because they haven't gotten that far too far yet. But I have faith in DICE to some degree, at least as far as what they can do with it. And even just seeing what's shown, I think it's really cool how they went to the locations, not only just to capture for the game, but even just to get that feel, to try and capture those memories and bring it into the fold.
Man, a Death Star level, I want.
I think everybody wants a Death Star level. For the end game is everybody wants to be the person who destroys the Death Star.
Yeah.
But it's an automatic failure because none of you are playing as Luke, so... If it's the second time you fight the bee.
I don't know. Can you shoot womp rats?
That wasn't cool, bro. We were in the middle of a meeting. You didn't have to call me out like that. Bloodborne.
Yeah. Hazard. You got pretty hyped on that.
It's from Software, you peasants. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I gotta see more.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
oh no, I mean,
I don't know how it's really gonna work.
I'm gonna piss a lot of people off by this. I still have Demon Souls and Dark Souls 1. I still want to play Dark Souls 2, but for the most part, playing it, I appreciate the difficulty and challenge to it, and the fact that it's a fairly well designed RPG. But I am finding it really hard to just continue through the game.
I don't have the patience to I have no problem with boss battles like being really hard, but the fact that every single mob is really hard, I don't have the patience for that. I understand perfectly that a lot of people have that and really love that. Then that game is for you.
Yeah.
One of the things is like they're definitely like overall with the game. I mean, it is challenge. It's learning, rinse and repeat. But a lot of people don't want to admit, like especially like the camera. There's a lot of stuff that's just broken with the Souls game. Like the camera fucking sucks ass, and you'll end up dying over like this cheap bullshit like that. It's not just you suck at the game, you suck at Souls games, get good, nerd. Like no, I mean it's not a perfect fucking game. It's definitely challenging because it was made that way, but I just don't fucking lose my shit
And,
when I hear, oh,
the matchmaking needs a little bit of work too, because I'll call it matchmaking. That's not really what it is. But when people invade your realms or your game, they tend to be over leveled, and it's usually people just trying to troll. And the thing is, you can't turn that off. The only way you can turn that off is to unplug your Ethernet or disable the wireless. And that really kind of takes away from the game when you're constantly getting trolled.
Online's the future, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's more likely going to be...
it like the Watch Dogs thing off directly. Like, some, I tried, like, the one thing and I was like, no, fuck this.
Not for me.
I'm not doing this ever again.
But it looks like it's going to be another game in that vein, especially because you saw him, the character, him or her. I mean, you really couldn't tell the way they were set up. But you saw the person killing, like, basic zombies, whatever, and then they get into, like, a crypt, and then just something huge obviously massacres them. So it looks like it's going to be just the same style game, which could be good or bad, depending on who's looking at it. Magicka 2. Does anybody care?
No.
Magicka 1 is really hilariously fun to just kill each other with, and it's the suicide emulator.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's a mindless fun kind of game. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, you're going to have fun with it.
Haven't you played the first Magicka?
I played like the first few moments. I'm like, no.
What? It's really fun dicking over your friends and be like, oh shit, I accidentally killed you.
So I see how it is. You're saying just because it's all about dicking over friends that I should play it and enjoy it? I'm done with this. Done.
Well, I mean, you should play it more. I mean, it's a really Magicka is really fun.
I don't know. Maybe we'll play it and I'll screw you over and we'll see.
Yes, I mean, you're not even meaning to do it, but you just like, oh fuck, I just put mines everywhere.
Sometimes it's just like friendly fire,
oh,
shit. Unfortunate events that happen.
Friendly fire is so fucking easy, and just like, oh, I'm doing a meteor shower. Have fun with this.
Destiny.
Destiny looks worse and worse for every time I see it. To be honest,
I agree.
It's apart from like Peter Dinklage doing the main.
See, there you go, boy. Peter Dinklage. They got that versus Kevin Spacey. Day one purchase.
Yeah, I mean it's like they're trying like to do like a multiplayer thing. Like feels like almost like Defiance sort of. Or like Borderlands with like more multiplayer. It's I don't know. I want to get into the beta when that's in and like
that's what it comes down for me, because it looks like I forget the joke I've made of it so far. It's like Border, Halo Lands, or it was some other game too that reminded me a lot of seeing the newer gameplay for it. I think it was Warframe, because of the way you could use your special abilities, and some of what you're going on definitely reminded me of that as well. So it looks like it's kind of like an amalgamation of just all that thrown together. I would definitely like to get my hands on it before I pass final judgment, but I don't know. I'm still in the middle. I don't feel like it's hyped me up more, but I don't feel like it's taken away from it for me either. But we'll see. Anything you want to add, Nate?
I don't know. Like, the fact that it reminds me of Borderlands is probably the biggest thing that turns me off from it, because, again, I enjoyed Borderlands for a little bit, but it got boring as fuck, because all you do is run around and shoot.
I'm just going to point out with Borderlands, the fact that you can only use one ability is the dumbest idea that probably ever had. Like, if they had, like, a lot of abilities, because, for instance, like, the Siren in that game, she should be so much more powerful, and she
should be able to, like, teleport around.
I can teleport him up into the air. Yeah. I can teleport him up into the air, and then you see the other Siren just do, like, batshit crazy stuff, move a fucking...
Well, that's the thing. I think the Sirens each had different abilities. I think that's something that they were trying to point out too.
Yeah, she had one ability. She could levitate someone. Woohoo!
Suda 51, Grasshopper, Let It Die, which is basically Reaper on a skateboard.
Yeah, that's right. It's the weird one, right?
Yeah,
like,
that one's
Suda
just...
51 is weird.
He always makes off-the-wall games, and usually I'm all for it because I can appreciate insanity in games. But this, exactly like you just said, just looks weird. You're like, it kind of feels like Manhunt, but it's just like arena. No
I just
story. It's just
for chat. Borderlands was the thing I was pointing out that time we had. It's not Destiny. I have no idea how Destiny is gonna work.
But like with Let It Die, it used to they show you off starting off with nothing. You just run into a person, you kill them, you take their gear. It looks like that's kind of how you gear up. You kind of start off with next to nothing. You kind of have to build yourself up. But even then, they showed one person just fully geared up, and then a dude with a circular saw just comes out of nowhere and it's like, there goes your head. And then behind them, another person just blows a hole through their chest with a magnum, and then they have a dot on their head from a rifle, more likely with like a red dot scope of some kind. So it looks like it'd be very crazy, almost arena-style combat, but I don't know. It still looks weird. Well, I think we'd have to see more.
Suda51, it's...
That's his MO. Definitely his MO.
Yeah. I have not much more to add to that.
Nor I.
Nate without words?
Yeah, well,
God.
I haven't seen enough.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm just messing with him because usually
He's
he'll have
just
a
being
lot
a
to
dick.
say.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you never do that, you son of a bitch.
I don't. I'm the best kind of friend.
Yeah. Right.